Sandra Silverman is an author. She is a Miami-based wellness and beauty advocate. In an effort to roll back the clock on aging, she tried every product, procedure, and treatment. And her newest book is From Bullshit to Botox. Welcome to the show, Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us a little about your personal life, some more about your work, and what motivated you to write the book.
Okay, great. Live in Miami. I have two kids. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and I started this journey at age 27. My first procedure or first surgery was then, and just kind of went from there. There were some problems in my relationship, some marital issues. I'm now going through a divorce, and there were a lot of insecurities back then. So I kind of just went on this journey of like procedure after procedure, surgery after surgery. And then I realized I'm not really internally happy because I was so focused on the outside. I wasn't really working on the inside. So the second part of the book is all about the internal work that I had done. And that took some time. That journey was was good, but definitely well needed. And so I just kind of went from there. I decided to write the book because so many people had asked me about different procedures because it was kind of known that had done so much. So just, for advice, like friends of friends. So then I decided why not just write a book about it? And that way everything is in the book, using it as a guide, but also to empower women to basically, do whatever that you want to make yourself happy as long as it's making you happy and it's not for somebody else. And so it's been pretty successful in terms of women really enjoying either reading the book to learn about more like procedures that they haven't done. I have experts in the book as well talking about those procedures, but also the second part of the book, which is all the internal work and the holistic approach that I've used for reverse aging and timeless beauty.
Well, I appreciate that. So at age 27, you started. What
I
was the first
started.
procedure?
It was a breast augmentation.
Got it.
And
Okay.
it just kind of went from there.
Okay. And was that something that you always sort of wanted to do or needed to do? How hard was it to make the decision?
I definitely didn't need to. I think it was like I was feeling sort of insecure because I was in a relationship with my ex at the time. We just started dating and when I was 26, and he had made some comments that kind of made me feel insecure. Where at that point, when he started making these comments, I never really thought there was something wrong with me until that moment. And I think deep down, I was feeling sort of like insecure, but not, I consciously didn't realize that. But now looking back, subconsciously, for sure, I was feeling insecure. So that was the first procedure. And I was just went from there, just trying to improve, so much. And then I realized over time that these procedures really aren't making me happy. So that's when I started the whole like working on my internal work.
And I frame that in a way that I feel bad. I said want versus need, I think, or is that something you felt like you needed? And these are personal decisions. I
Mhm.
work in personal finance, and so I talk a lot about want
Okay.
versus need from a
Right.
budget standpoint. But just because I want something doesn't mean that I don't need it. And I think that there's a lot of gray area
Yeah,
there. If you're feeling insecure about yourself and you're walking around the world always being really self-conscious about a thing, whatever it might be, if it's my hair or my feet or whatever, I think that we should probably address it.
I agree. A lot of the procedures probably weren't like super necessary. However, at the time, I felt like that's something, that I wanted to do. And I also made some mistakes. So some of the procedures I had done, which were mistakes, I had to correct with the surgery, which I had talked about in the book as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's always, I mean, anytime we're having some kind of a procedure, it's not always going to go right or go awesome. So I'm sure that there's anxiety that goes into that. And then I imagine that you also feel like you're probably on a treadmill almost of just one thing after another.
Yes, that's how it felt.
And so how do you, is that just like a creeping feeling? It's like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? I'm a really attractive person. Why do I feel pulled or pushed to do more?
I think it just became I wouldn't say a habit, but it just was like, okay, what's the next thing? And then what's the next thing? And it's easy to fall into that trap. And that's part of the reason too. Like I wanted to write the book so people could read like different procedures, how they work. For example, like you could have a surgery and there could be scarring. So I wanted to explain that aspect as well and have the experts in there to explain everything step by step. So people are really informed before they make that decision of exactly what these procedures are going to look like, if there are any side effects, if there's scarring, how to correct the scarring. So it's kind of a guide as well, to show you for whatever procedure or beauty treatment that you're interested in.
It strikes me that it's probably like anything else. If I get really excited about golf, there's no end to the amount of things that I can do or lessons that I can take or new equipment that I can get. And if I'm really excited about beauty, there's probably a never-ending amount of skincare and then you name it that I can get into. And it's almost like I get
It's
sucked
never
in.
But it's okay. I mean, you can do these procedures and still look natural. Like I said, I had made a few mistakes, but I was able to correct those. So I don't look like I've had work done like some people if you go overboard. So I was able at least to navigate like the right people to do, the procedures to look natural.
Yeah, well, I certainly appreciate that. And I agree. I think you're a very, very attractive person. So,
Thank you.
um, so wants versus needs, dealing with insecurity, it's just like a progression towards the second half of the book, which is okay, maybe I as well as doing this stuff on my physical body, what work do I need to do on the mental part of my body? Was it harder to write that part of the book? Easier?
It was the same. I actually really enjoyed because the first part of the book is more, not, I wouldn't say technical, but it's more about this procedure and how it works. The second part is definitely my internal work journey, which I'm really happy about. And it's actually what made me feel so much better and start loving myself. So I mean, I guess, yeah, I enjoyed writing that. I enjoyed writing the entire book, but that part is special because that's when I learned how to, love myself and also balance myself. So I wasn't getting proper nutrition. I was doing my workouts, weight training 6 times a week, but I wasn't eating like the amount of protein that I needed. So I wasn't getting the results that I should have gotten. And I learned during COVID that I really needed to do lymphatic work. So because of all of the surgeries and procedures, my lymphatic system wasn't working as well as it should have been. And I've learned that during COVID, because I had a lot of extra time on my hands and started using like this dough roller and some other tools that I had at my house. And during that process, I started like I had a lot of puffiness before, and then the puffiness had gone away. So during that time, I realized, wow, my lymphatic system isn't working as well as it should have worked. And I was super puffy, and now I'm not puffy anymore, which was amazing. So there were all these things that I had learned, eliminating toxic people from my life coaching. I met a spiritual healer in Sedona that I was working with. So all these different things helped. And all of a sudden I'm waking up every day super happy. I feel more balanced because my body's getting the nutrition that it needs. I'm taking the right peptides, I'm taking NADs and injecting the right vitamins. I'm on the right supplements. So all of these things working together really helped.
And which certainly makes sense. I mean, our bodies are this perfect system and
Mhm.
easy to have that fall out of balance or equilibrium. I was going to say fall out of whack, but it wasn't a very technical term, Sandra. So you got to bring it back into whack as it would be. All right. I mean, I think that I spend a lot of time thinking about just being content. There's a lot of things that make me happy. Like eating ice cream makes me happy, and then dropping the ice cream on the ground makes me sad, but it doesn't hurt my overall sense of self and where I am in the world. And it sounds like you're getting or you're at that place.
Finally, yes, but it took a lot of time and a lot of work.
Yeah. That's the deal, right?
Mhm.
Is are there? I don't think that there are interventions or shortcuts to that.
Definitely not.
And that also requires courage and bravery to step into our own heads or whatever it might be and say, okay, why am I doing whatever it is that I'm doing? It's not getting me happier. I'm not
Mhm.
content.
No, and that's what was happening because I'd done all this work on the outside and I still wasn't happy. So I realized I need to work on the inside.
And so walk me through some of those things. I mean, did you uncover trauma from a younger age, past relationships?
So the biggest thing, I'm going through the divorce, that helped a lot in terms of removing that toxicity out of my life. So that was great. And I actually just finished my second book, which talks all about the marriage and my journey dating as a 53-year-old when we separated last year. So that helped tremendously. And then eliminating toxic friends helped a lot as well. I eliminated friends that I've had for like 30 some years. That was really important. And then just my overall fitness, the nutritional part. So I wasn't really getting enough protein. So I'm a vegetarian. So I was maybe eating like 50 grams a day of protein, which I realize isn't enough. So when I increased that to 100 grams, I immediately started feeling better. I always got the right amount of sleep, but as far as my supplements were concerned, like I wasn't taking the supplements that were tailored to my needs. So I started doing the micronutrient testing and realizing, what I was deficient in. And like hormonally, like I wasn't balanced. So it happens to a lot of women when we reach 40. If we don't check our hormones, then, that's an issue as well. So I was just more focused on all of these things together, life coaching. There were past traumas in my life that I hadn't dealt with, which I, started to deal with more. And the spiritual healer that I had met, like I said, in Sedona helped a lot. And all of these things together, like the lymphatic work, just doing everything, combining them all, like and being consistent was a game changer.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Are you a curious person, sort of like a just like an investigator? You're interested in learning about these things, obviously.
Yes. But some of them I just found by accident. Like I said, like with the lymphatic work and just meeting over time. My holistic doctor's amazing, but I, used other doctors in the past. I just found over time like the right people that work for me and my needs.
So toxic. That's a term that I think we're all aware of what it means, but what does that mean to you when you say you had to cut out people that you've been friends with for 30 years?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear why and then how you actually did it.
Okay. The friends were super jealous. So I had this friend group. There were four of us. We were best friends since college. And two of the four were just very jealous girls, just inherently jealous of myself and our other friend. And over time, it was just the comments. And when we were all four together, it was just really uncomfortable because you could tell like they're not your cheerleader anymore. Or at least when we first started our lives in college, everybody's pretty much the same. And then our lives had taken, different turns, but we all always like would come back together. And those times that we started spending together were just so uncomfortable. And the one person who I'm still friends with, we're, best friends, they were really, really mean to her, way more mean to her than me. But I thought, well, this is your friend that you are treating so badly. How can I, be part of this? And for me too, like they would just make like rude comments and things that were I didn't feel acceptable. And especially at my age at the time, I'm like, I'm in my 50s. Like, why am I dealing with this? So we ended that friendship. So now it's just my friend and I are left in that group. So that was that was a big decision to end a friendship after, 30 some years. But I felt like it wasn't serving me any longer. Like it just didn't feel good to be around those people. And eliminating them has been so much healthier for me, for my other friend.
Talk about
So,
needing courage, right? And talk about breaking free of what we've always done. You've been friends with the same couple of people for a really long time. I think that which we all have, and we probably all have relationships. We're like, why do I keep doing this? But we keep
right.
doing it.
And I think it's good, it's best to be honest with the people if you are going to eliminate them from your life instead of just ghosting or just walking away, because that's what they did to the other person in our group. They just ghosted her. I was very upfront and honest. I told them I don't want to be friends anymore, and this is why.
And they said, okay, and that was it, sort
I
of.
mean, sort of. It wasn't that simple, but
But close. That
but it had to be done. So I just feel like eliminating, and I got to that point. I was started working with a life coach, and that was like his number one thing from the beginning when we first started working together. You have to eliminate the toxic people in your life. And he was right because I felt, a lot better when I did that.
addition by subtraction, Sandra.
Yeah.
That is one of those things. Hmm. So quite a journey that you've been on. Do you have a favorite story from all of this or what is the thing that stands out the most from the entire experience from a cosmetic standpoint for or procedure or a product?
The best surgery that I did that I'm the most happy with was my facelift. So I did the facelift when I was 47. I feel like you're if you're in the mirror all day long and you're unhappy with the way that you look and you're pulling your face, and it's probably time to do something. Some people feel like that's very young. I look at it differently. I ended up just getting a mini facelift because in your 40s you don't need as much work, but it's helped me now in my 50s where I don't have to do a lot. So now it's like you just do little tweaks here and there instead of doing like waiting until I'm like late 50s, early 60s and doing like a massive amount of work. I feel like when you do that in your 40s, you look the most natural that you're going to look. And the surgeons would agree because that's the time when they don't have to do a lot where you are going to look as natural as possible. So I'm really happy with that, procedure. And I tell people that I feel like doing that in your 40s is way more beneficial than waiting, until you're older and you need a lot more work. So that I've been able to maintain, a more youthful look because of that. So that would probably be the best, surgery that I've done. In terms of like beauty treatments, I really like dermaplaning. So I do that frequently, like once a month, and that just removes like the dead skin and just helps brighten and rejuvenate your face. And I love the lymphatic work. I think that that's great for everybody. The dry brushing, the lymphatic work that I do on a daily basis. And I talk about those things on Instagram and in the book where I show like tools that I use. And so they're pretty much on my Instagram. There are videos for a lot of the procedures or beauty treatments that I talk about in the book to use that as a point of reference.
That's awesome. I was just
Yeah.
going to ask. I was just going to ask where people could learn more about you. So certainly Instagram, and where can they get a copy of the book, um, from Botox, from bullshit to Botox?
The Instagram is at Sandra Silverman. I have a website, sandralinasilverman.com, and I'm always available to answer questions. I don't charge, so I'll set up calls with people if they have questions or concerns or, just want to talk and if they want to be pointed in a certain direction. And the book is on Barnes and Noble and Amazon.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Sandra your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Learn more about her at Sandra Lena Silverman, SandranLena Silverman.com. and find her on Instagram in that same way. And then get your copy of From Bullshit to Botox on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I'll certainly link all of those in the notes of the show. Thanks again, Sandra.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
You as well. Until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.